You know, people have a misconception that if somebody hooks the ball, like Paula, and then you compare it to somebody who goes a little bit straighter, like a Megan, those people can communicate and help each other. It's all about where your ball hooks and goes into the pocket. Just if you're a straight player, you may have to move a little bit further to the right. If you hook it, you move a little bit further to the left. I mean, it doesn't matter how you throw the ball. It's about just knowing where that adjustment needs to be.
There's Paula Villas leading things off for Maryland Eastern Shore, who just lost their first game of the championship in that last one. And Villas gets things going back in the right direction for the Lady Hawks. Perfect start for Villas and Maryland Eastern Shore. And now the pressure falls back to Megan Kelly. Is it more of a pressure when you go second in Baker format? When you watch someone
I think
strike?
It's pressure no matter where you're bowling in Baker format. Well, you know, the key about Baker is you don't want to let your teammates down. You know, it's different when you're bowling 10 frames by yourself. Yeah, your score is not helping with the team, but you know, it's you.
Yeah.
When you're throwing the 2 shots for 4 other people, oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure no matter where you're bowling.
The voice of a bowling Hall of Famer, someone who rolled 21 straight strikes, Carolyn Doran Ballard.
Who was that girl?
CDB. And Kelly can't pick up the spare. So an open frame to start game 4 for Fairleigh-Dickinson. Not a good way to maintain the momentum they established at the end of that third game.
That last shot is a prime example of her coming off the approach and looking at her team and saying, I thought I threw it really good. Do you think the lane's hooking more? I mean, just simple communication like that. Boom, next shot, I'm going to make a move.
Come on, Megan, you can do it. Come on.
There's Megan Bouja. Back-to-back strikes. This is reminiscent of the first 2 games for the Lady Hawks.
Real good shot. She likes it.
Can we attribute any of this to the lanes, Carolyn? Because obviously Fairleigh-Dickinson just won on this left lane in the last game.
Absolutely. I think the lanes have gone through a transition. It's now the 4th game. So around that 3rd or 4th game, the lanes start to change just a little bit. And that's what I'm saying. There was 2 ways to attack this pattern. What they have chosen to do is move a little bit further left into the track area between that 10 and 15 area. As you can see, a couple girls went to stronger balls to create that little bit of area. And it's worked so far. So we'll see what happens going into the end of this game and the next game.
Hunziker leaves the 10 pin. It would be catastrophic to have 2 open frames to start this game for Fairleigh-Dickinson. And he needs to pick up this spare. And Hunziker picks it up to avoid back-to-back open frames. Angie Ramirez, the lefty on the left lane.
I would say Angie really is going to have the harder time trying to figure out what to do because there's nobody else to really read the lanes off of. It's really just her. So she's going to rely a lot on her teammates to say, hey, I may not be saying it. What do you think I need to do?
That's pretty good. Ramirez with the strike.
Great execution. She likes it. Looks like she moved a little bit further left, straightened out her angles a little bit. Perfect reaction.
So 3 straight strikes, sending a strong statement. Wiesenfeld will try to get things going the right direction for Fairleigh-Dickinson. And it's just been a struggle start so far for the Knights. The Northeast Conference Rookie of the Year, or excuse me, Rookie of the Week 3 times this year.
I think she threw a good shot. That's where she's been playing. I think the ball is starting to read just a little bit too early. She's going to have to make a move.
Wiesenfeld picks it up. Two college baseball games highlight ESPNU Sunday afternoon lineup at 2. It's VMI taking on Coastal Carolina. Then at 5, Cal State Fullerton will meet UC Irvine. VMI Coastal Carolina at 2. Then Cal State Fullerton UC Irvine at 5. That's Sunday on ESPNU. Mariana Alvarado, freshman from Mexico, bowling 4th for Eastern Shore. And yes! Only leaves the 10 pin. Sigh of relief.
She had changed balls last game on her second shot. She moved even deeper on this lane, hitting about the 17th, 18th board. Maybe just a little bit too much, but gets a break.
Answered prayer.
Spare, yes.
And she picks up that spare. She was originally in the 3rd spot, moved down to 4. Does that make much of a difference?
Well, your 4th bowler is the one that's really setting up the anchor bowler and hopefully keeps that momentum going to then the 1st bowler. So the 4th, remember we talked about there's such an importance to each position, but the 4th bowler really sets up the 5th. So what happens in the 4th either puts more pressure on that anchor bowler or doesn't.
There's Carrillo, who had an excellent game 3. And a good start to game 4. So that's a good setup for the anchor McEwen.
And she's really the example of doing the right thing. She keeps the ball in play. Simple game, not a lot of rotation, and gets the most reaction out of her light hits. That's when you're in the right place, right ball, right everything.
Anchor bowler's turn now. Tania Falbo from Maryland Eastern Shore. Here inside the freeway lanes, side of the NCAA championship. Falbo with a strike. She's been unflappable tonight. Great mixture of intensity and focus. And now over to McEwen for Fairleigh-Dickinson, who ended the last game with 3 straight strikes, which is more typical of what we would expect from her. National Bowler of the Year. And that 10 pin has been left up by her several times tonight. Does that tell you anything, Carolyn, when you just leave the same pin up?
Yeah, she's making good shots. Physically, I don't see anything she's doing that, you know, it's saying, oh, that's why she's leaving that 10 pin. It's really just that fine tuning. She's went to a stronger ball. She moved a little left, struck her last shot. Now she needs to figure out, okay, hey, look, I did what I needed to do, but it didn't strike. So there's got to be something that they've got to change. Could be ball speed. Throwing it a little bit harder, you know, the anxiety, your nerves, the whole thing. Maybe just slowing up the ball speed to get the ball to read a little sooner can kick that 10 right out.
Maryland Eastern Shore looking better than Fairleigh-Dickinson through the first half of Game 4, but we'll see if the second half is any better for the Lady Knights. It's the NCAA Championship.
Here at Edge.
Monday, ESPNU showcases one of the conference's top teams as the stellar Seminoles pitching staff looks to shut down the Yellow Jackets. It's Georgia Tech versus Florida State in softball Monday at 7 Eastern on ESPNU. Paula Villas, leadoff bowler for Maryland Eastern Shore, having an outstanding championship so far, trying to keep that momentum going. Maryland Eastern Shore leading this NCAA title match 2-1 midway through the 4th game. And another strike. 2 strikes rolled by Villas in this 4th game.
Just another great shot executed by Paula. You can't throw it any better than that.
She's a coach's dream. It's the confidence she has when executing. Here's what they're playing for.
She's a competitor's nightmare.
There you go. Megan Kelly, the senior. She and Carrillo, the 2 seniors in the Fairleigh-Dickinson lineup. She leaves that one. I mean, these programs, just 2 seniors here for Fairleigh-Dickinson, they just keep reloading. We mentioned the 4 that got to the semifinals are the only 4 teams that have ever won the NCAA championship. I mean, there's no divisions in women's college bowling, so it's open to every size school. And there are schools that dominate this sport.
I think that's a credit to the coaches in their recruiting efforts. You know, Mike spoke about it earlier.
Ooh, open frame by Kelly. Get back to your point.
It goes back to the recruiting effort. I mean, they look for all-around athletes. It's not just somebody who's a good bowler. Sometimes your best bowler, not a good student, doesn't have a good work ethic. So they look for all-around athletes to contribute to this team.
There's Megan Buja for Maryland Eastern Shore. Should point out that Valparaiso University, first year they've had women's bowling, they made the championship this year. One of the 8 teams that qualified here. Buja leaves it a little right and leaves those 3 to pick up her spare. Hopes to be a physician's assistant, and with a 4.0 GPA, I think she could be a lot of things. It's one of the impressive things about this sport to me, Carolyn, are the academic accomplishments of these bowlers. I don't even know how to say half their majors.
I know, I'm getting ready to giggle because I got to tell you, I was reading these, and I mean, we got aerospace engineering, computer science with a, you know, major in communications management. I'm going, oh my God, like they can do it all.
With 4.0 GPAs.
Come on, Megan, you got it. Come on.
You're supposed to take a little credit, Carolyn, and say, well, all bowlers are very intelligent.
Well, they are. We have to work harder than other sports, that's why.
Buja to pick up the spare. Gets it. No open frames for Maryland Eastern Shore. Maryland Eastern Shore trying to go up 3-1. Michelle Hunziker trying to slow that down.
They need to start making some good shots here and get back in this match, because one thing they don't want to do is, even if they lose this match, they need to finish strong and get that momentum back and that shot making back.
That's the first 7th frame she's failed to strike in. Is this a tough spare to pick up?
Tough spare anytime you leave the head pin and you got to pin way over to the other side. A little bit difficult. She's going to change to her spare ball, go straighter. hit to the left of that head pin, hopefully slide it over. But once again, we are seeing a transition on the lane. So decisions have to be made. If the ball's going to start to go just a little bit longer when they get it in, that means we've got to make the move on the lane, either to a stronger ball or move a little bit further right.
Doesn't get the spare. You mentioned that's her spare ball. You've mentioned strong balls. How many bowling balls does a bowler typically have at her disposal when she gets up for each frame?
Well, I would say 2. Your strike shot, and then if you use a spare ball, which goes a little bit straighter, obviously, doesn't hook, so you'd say 2. Now, how many do you travel to a tournament with? Well, you know, that depends.
Here's the rack. Yeah, the bowling balls have to be shipped separately. I was told that you could take 2 bowling balls on and fit in the overhead, but when you get past that, you're way over the weight limit. You couldn't fit them on the plane, so they ship the balls ahead of the team to avoid the extra baggage fees. Ramirez trying to keep the momentum going here for Maryland Eastern Shore. And just misses that for a strike, but she'll take that to get her spare.
Maryland Eastern Shore really just needs to fill frames to win this match. Doesn't make a really good shot, but gets a break.
So close.
On one here, girl. Fill it in, fill it in.
Ramirez doing a little Villas there. Turned with her back to the ball. As soon as it left her hand, she was that confident she had picked it up. She started walking away right after it left her hand. I love it.
Another sign of confidence.
That's not cocky. That's just confident.
Confident, absolutely.
Wiesenfeld, who's had a very good championship for Fairleigh-Dickinson. 4 strikes, 2 spares, just 1 open frame. That was in the first game. And this 7th frame has been a pretty good one for her last couple of games, but she's got a tough spare to pick up.
This match is over. What I would do here, if I was coaching right now, I would have her do something different. The match is over. Either move somewhere else on the lane and throw a strike shot, or move with the ball she's been using and try something different, because the match is over. So filling, you know, making this spare doesn't do anything, you know, to make them win the match.
And she misses it all together. So game 4 is about to be surrendered by Mike Lepresti and Fairleigh-Dickinson. They're going to go down 3-1. Mike Lepresti, he was a good baseball player in college, and he's also coached baseball.
One of the keys with Mike, and you'll see him, and you're seeing it right now, actually, he's looking down, he has a piece of paper, and he talked about that earlier, how he's always taking notes, he's always gathering information, he's always checking what he can do different. And one of the questions he asked as soon as she came back was, did you throw it good? Because that's what you, and you know what, you have to be honest with yourself as an athlete. If the coach asks you, did you throw it good? You need to look right at him and go, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You don't want to make an adjustment off a bad shot.
Again, that's one of the themes of the night, communication. It's Alvarado here in the 9th, trying to pick up her spare for Christina Fromm, who's trying to win back-to-back national championships last year as a player, this year as a coach. Again, mathematically, this game is over. Maryland Eastern Shore is going to take a 3-1 lead into the 5th game. They can clinch the title in the next game. Christina Fromm, twice a national champion as a bowler. Last year's most outstanding player in the NCAA championship. 4-time All-American, COSIDA academic All-American as well. Jolie Carrillo with a strike for Fairleigh-Dickinson. Individually, Carrillo's had an excellent championship.
She's a great bowler to read the lane off of. She's really down and in, doesn't do anything different in her approach. She's very once again, very traditional, very smooth. You can read her ball reaction. So whether you hook it or whether you go straight, like I said earlier, you can read what her ball's doing and make the adjustment off of that.
Is it easier to read a traditional bowler?
Well, I think so, because I'm a traditional bowler. But like I said, I think it is, because it's just so simple.
Yeah. Miss Falbo. This is the 10th frame of game 4, which is going to be won by Maryland Eastern Shore in just a few moments.
It's going to be interesting to see what the teams do here in the 10th frame after she makes her spare. Mike mentioned before they started tonight that one of the keys to their success of being able to play the lanes the way they wanted to was they took weaker bowling balls and put some surface on them, which allowed them to stay further right and play the lanes the way they wanted. It'll be interesting to see if they make that change once they go to the next lane.
Well, the team that's been on the right side has lost the last 2 games, and that's where Maryland Eastern Shore is going to go in the next game. And that's the game they need to clinch the title. But they would then go back to this game, or this lane, in the following game, if they were to lose the next one. So this is a pretty big lead for Maryland Eastern Shore to have in this championship. So that's going to end the game for Maryland Eastern Shore. Fairleigh-Dickinson warming some bowlers up on the practice lanes. This is just adjacent to our championship lanes behind the curtain. That's assistant coach Lisa Frigioni, who was also a national champion as a player and an assistant coach, working with that bowler. Maybe a lineup change for Fairleigh-Dickinson. McEwen picks up the strike. She'll have a couple of more shots. And you can certainly understand why Mike Lepresti may go ahead and change the lineup. It's Brianna Carlo who is warming up over there with Lisa Frigioni.
That's one of the great things about our sport. A lot of the athletes stay in to help and coach once they leave competitive, competitive bowling.
Good 10th frame here for McEwen, despite the fact that it doesn't count in terms of the outcome of this game. Good momentum builder for her. She's going to be feeling as she heads into a must-win game in the next one.
Also gives her a feel of what that lane is doing if they come back to that lane.
So that'll end the 4th game. Maryland Eastern Shore leads the NCAA championship 3-1, and we'll try to clinch when we return.